We begin today with Dr. Teri Rouse, an acclaimed educator, best-selling author, and advocate for families in crisis. But what truly sets Dr. Teri apart is her incredible story of resilience and transformation. Let's take a look.
I'm Dr. Teri Rouse, and this is my story in Rise Up. I am an early interventionist, a behavior strategist, an autism and reading specialist, parenting coach and consultant, and multiple best-selling author. And I was inspired to write this chapter because I wanted all people to know that no matter what their circumstances are, that they can rise up, because I did. I had some really significant, deep-seated trauma that took many, many years to overcome. And although there were many steps along the way that encouraged me to move forward, there was one significant step or one significant incident that turned my life around and the lives of all the people I love around as well. I was standing in the kitchen and Dr. Fred, my husband, and I were having a conversation about going for a doctoral degree, which had been a topic that had come up repeatedly. And although it was something that was in the back of my mind, for years I had heard, you're not smart enough, you're not wise enough, you don't have the talent, you just could never do that. And I remember I was standing in the kitchen right between the sink and the stove. Now, keep in mind, many years before that, I had been in a corner in a kitchen, and my former husband had said to me, get yourself together. If you don't, I'm going to take our daughter away and I'll disappear into the bowels of West Virginia. You'll never see her again. In this corner, as I'm doing the dishes, I'm looking down saying, I am not smart enough, I'm not wise enough, blah, blah, blah. And there was silence in the kitchen. And when I looked up, I looked at my husband. And for the first time, and honestly, the very last time, I saw true rage in his eyes. And I stopped, I froze. I went back to that other corner. And wow. When Fred realized what was happening, and he as soon as he saw my face, because I froze up again, he totally softened. And I could see it, but I couldn't feel it. And then his words were, what do you mean you're not smart enough? Are you out of your damn mind? Of course you are. You're smart enough, you're wise enough. Look at what you do, not only for our family, but for the children in your classrooms. I will help you go through this program. You have to go through this program. You can, you should, and you will. And so I put on my big girl pants and I enrolled in a doctoral program. I was the oldest candidate by 15 years in my cohort. And in 4 years, I went and I finished my doctoral program in special education and positive behavior intervention supports, which changed all of our lives because it led me into truly being able to pursue what I was looking for in my classroom and at home, which was there has to be a better way to help families that are struggling with behavioral challenges. And so I took the best of the best and I put them all together and created my program, Real Peaceful Parenting Framework, which is what I really do, and the passion that I have to help other families maneuver through challenging behaviors of everyday life, the chaos of everyday life. You know, the traumas and the abusive relationship and marriage and all of those things, raising a child in that situation, really shaped my Real Peaceful Parenting Framework, in that I could see things from so many different perspectives. It wasn't just a behavioral challenge, it was a communication issue. It was a conflict resolution issue. It was the constant chaos, the feelings that were surrounded by all of that constant stress and chaos and fear. And I think it really gave me a perspective to see not only the behaviors, but to see things from parents' perspective and children's perspective. You know, I didn't grow up in a situation like that. I grew up in a very warm, two-parent household where, I was fearless. I did all the things that kids did, and I didn't know what divorce was. I didn't know what abuse was. I didn't know that I was being abused until, someone else actually said it to me, and I told them, they were wrong. And here's the thing that I have to say that I don't often say is that I don't believe that the abuse was necessarily intentional. I think it was obsessive and I think it was protective. And that's the way it started. And then it just escalated. I have to believe for myself that it was not intentional and that forgiveness, you don't forget, but forgiveness is super important. As a professional and as a parent, the balancing that's a huge balancing act always. And because I deal with or work with families that are in, not only families that are in crisis, families that want to nip things in the bud, but often families that are in crisis, it's a little bit easier for me to balance now because I don't have children at home. And so I'm not dealing with the daily chaos in my own home as I was before. There's still definitely a balancing act because it's very emotional. Those past traumas still come back. Those past feelings still come back. And sometimes when I see a family that is struggling in the same way that we were, I have to take a huge step back and remember that we passed through it. We navigated the chaos and we came out on the other side. We rose above it and we didn't do it alone. I say we had a village that didn't even know they were our village and we didn't know that they were ours. It was people like my family, specifically my mother and father, my sister and my brother-in-law, who really helped us through the challenges that we were having. And quite honestly, our daughter she was determined. She was so afraid to not be perfect at one point that when she finally realized she didn't have to be perfect, it was a beautiful thing, you know? And so that helped. I go back to those memories. I go back to the experiences that I had when I went through all of it to help balance myself now as a professional and as a parent. My advice to anyone out there who is in the midst of chaos and trauma and is really trying to move forward is to take those small steps. Things like, for me, it was driving at night or going to the mall in the evening. I wasn't allowed to drive when I was married. The only place I could drive was work. Driving at night was just like, why would you do that? You can't do that. Putting gas in the car. I mean, I'm quite capable of doing those things. And when I enrolled in the doctoral program, that was another of those small steps that really turned into a big step. So all of those small wins are the things that turn into big wins. They're the building blocks. They're the things that when you do one small thing, you go, I can do another, and I can do another, and I can do another. And I found that rising up, we can all rise up. We all crash, but we can all rise up if we take those small victories and put them together and recognize that we have that strength. We are braver than we believe. We are stronger than we think, and we are smarter than we know. And we can do all of those things. It's just we have to start with the first step. There's a quote, and I can't remember who said, I think it's Don Shula, the NFL football coach, is the start is what stops most people. So if we can start with those small steps, we can do anything and we can rise up. I remarried a man, Dr. Fred, who truly expected me to be and want to be independent and autonomous. He wanted me to make decisions. And that took a lot for me to overcome because I was not used to making decisions. So being encouraged by him took a little time for me to embrace the idea of allowing myself to make a decision. But once I did, again, it was making those small decisions. What we were gonna have for dinner. I was gonna go to the mall, which movie we would go to see. You know, those small decisions, allowing yourself to make the decision and to understand that your partner wants that for you. It took me a very long time. If you ask Dr. Fred that, there are even today, after 22 years of being married, there are still times when he'll say, make the decision, whatever it is. And embracing that and trusting yourself enough to make a decision and stick with it.
Dr. Teri's story is not just about surviving, it's about thriving, breaking free from self-doubt, and proving that we are all braver than we believe. Her story reminds us that no matter how heavy the weight of our circumstances may feel, we all have the power to rise, to heal, and to thrive. If her words today have inspired you, know that you are not alone, and you too are braver than you believe.